right, and good day, and welcome back to another exciting episode of WEDCOnomics, brought to you by Wentworth Economic Development Corporation. I'm Jack Terrill, I'm the Executive Director, and also brought to you by our partners, Wolfeboro Community TV, led by Timothy Goodwin. Wolfeboro Community TV is a wonderful community asset. We are proud and pleased to be able to have access to this sort of technology that allows us to spread our message, and we are very grateful to our partnership with WCTV. So keep that in mind in your annual giving. They can always use a little help. It's like I said, a wonderful community asset. So today's episode, Adrift at Marker 21.
Nice.
Yeah. So we are blessed to have Josh Cleland here. Josh, welcome.
Jack, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Josh is the proprietor, owner of Marker 21, which is in downtown Wolfeboro. Sits right on the water, up a couple stories.
Yep.
But you can't beat the view from the dining room. Marker 21 is a place where you can eat and drink and be merry, right?
Yep. Eat, drink, have a good time. We're going to take care of you. We're going to treat you right. Part of the family.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep.
So I wanted to talk a little bit with you about sort of your journey as to how you ended up being the owner of Marker 21. What was that journey like?
It was, I think for me it started specifically with that location in mind as a consumer years ago, and I've always loved that location.
Was that a restaurant before?
It was a bar and restaurant. The second and third floor were I think the second floor was a small cafe, and the third floor was a bar with pool tables and arcade games, and so it was kind of broken down. But yeah, I think that location had always kind of piqued my intrigue.
So you were living here in Wolfeboro prior to taking ownership of Marker 21?
Yep. I settled down in Wolfeboro in 2015. Spent the first couple years here at the Wolfeboro Inn, managed the bar up there, became the food and beverage director, and then in 2020, the operation that is now Marker 21 closed permanently, and we decided to take a stab at it. Well, I have a partner in the operation, and then also my wife as well is very much the wind beneath my wings, if you will. She has been a huge asset in everything that we have done in terms of that operation. So we, meaning her and I, and then our partner as well.
Okay, so you were in hospitality when you were here in Wolfeboro.
Yes.
Tell me about your hospitality journey. Did you know you were going to be in the hospitality business as a career right off the bat, or is that something you kind of fell into?
No, not necessarily. I think for me, growing up, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do or where I wanted to land. I kind of always knew at some point I wanted it to be on my own terms, whatever industry that was going to be in. So I think starting from a young age, I always had this mindset that wherever I was going to wind up, it was going to be in an entrepreneurial aspect.
Really? Interesting.
I just didn't know what the industry was going to be.
Was your family entrepreneurial?
No, they were not at all. My dad, my father's an auto mechanic. My mom works for a company called Nissan. They make brakes for Honda. So she works in a factory, and there was a part of me growing up that I think seeing my parents work so hard for other people, and I think there's something that I saw that it seemed to me that the people who owned the businesses were the ones that did well, So I think there's some sort of subconscious seed that was planted when I was younger that I always wanted to be the one that owned the business.
Yeah.
because I felt like that was the way, the way to success.
So, okay, so sorry to derail you there a little bit, but anyway, so that's really interesting, and that is how you create wealth, is through ownership, right? I mean, and so there's a huge difference between being employed by or being the employer of.
Yes.
And so it's interesting that you
I think
you
I
sense that early on.
I think I did sense that from a young age. So
Yeah.
I think so going back to the original question, I don't think I always knew it was going to be in the hospitality industry. I've done a bunch of different things in terms of like jobs. I've worked in different fields. I've worked in sales. I worked for a bank for a while, but I always wound up back in a restaurant in one capacity or another. And I think for me, it's always been the energy that it provides. It's not a cookie cutter industry. It's not one where you sit still. You're constantly moving. You're constantly in different experiences, constantly engaging with different people. There's a bit of a thrill or a rush to the industry that I think kind of always pulled me back in. It's like I would leave for a little while. I would do something else, and I would wind up behind a bar, or I would wind up in a kitchen, or something about this field just kind of always drew me back in.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
The thrill, the rush.
the energy, the people, it's...
So was the thrill and the rush created by busyness, or sudden busyness, or just the thrill and the rush of having satisfied customers, or working as a team to develop? I mean, it's, people sit and they order, and they sit there a little bit longer, and then this plate comes out with their food on it.
Yep.
Well, there's a whole backstory.
100%.
There's a whole backstory.
There's a lot more that goes into it. Absolutely. I think it's a little bit of all of that. It's like you like to get... You like people to leave having a good time and knowing that like you directly affected their experience. That's one of them. It's welcoming people in with open arms. It is working with a team of people. There's the actual rush itself. I can remember being anytime I'm on the line and we get crazy busy, and it feels like the wheels are going to fall off, and then you make it through that. There's a bit of an adrenaline rush there. You kind of you manage to get through crazy amount of volume or business, or so there's a lot of different aspects of it that I think are enjoyable.
So what was your first foray into hospitality? How old were you? What were you doing?
How old was I? I think I was my first job bussing tables was at a Bob Evans when I was I think I was about 16.
Whereabouts was this?
This was back in Ohio.
In Ohio.
I grew up in Ohio.
You grew up in Ohio.
So
was bussing tables at Bob Evans?
Bussing tables and doing dishes at a Bob Evans.
What'd you think of that? You obviously didn't hate it.
I don't think I invested enough thought into the fact that it would wind up being a potential career run in the industry. I think I kind of just took it for what it was.
Yeah.
And at that point,
gas money.
At that point in time, it was gas money. It was 100%. It was gas money.
Yeah.
And get into the next spot. So.
Well, okay. So that's interesting. And then eventually, like here at the Wolfeboro Inn, you were in a management capacity in the hospitality. What was your first foray into management capacity in the hospitality business?
My first entry into management was with a hotel in San Diego. It was called the Bahia. It was right in Mission Bay, San Diego. I bartended there for a couple years. I'd left and come back to San Diego, and I reached out to my former manager there, who was looking for somebody to help her run and manage the food and beverage department. So I took that job on as like a part-time role, and I was part-time bartending at another spot, so I had kind of a couple different positions in the industry at that point in time. So I was managing at the hotel and then bartending at a separate spot up the street.
What brought you to San Diego?
Just traveling. Actually, my current wife had moved out there, and I kind of chased her out there.
You did?
Yeah.
So you had designs then.
Yeah,
You had a plan.
Yeah, I met her along the way traveling, and she was heading out that way, and I decided San Diego doesn't sound so bad.
No, it doesn't actually. It sounds pretty
Yeah,
good.
so I wound
right
up-
on the mission,
Yeah.
on the bay there.
Yep. So I kind of chased her out there, and when we had children, we decided to move back here. So.
Back here, meaning you went from San Diego to Wolfeboro?
Yep.
Because your wife is from Wolfeboro?
Yeah, she grew up here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So, so Ohio, San Diego, back or into Wolfeboro.
Kind of bounced around a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
The long story is we've kind of bounced around a little bit, and then when we had kids, we decided.
But you're not going anywhere now.
We've got 2 kids now.
They're in the school system.
They're in the school system. They're 5 and 9. We've got the business here. She works for another organization here in town. I mean, we're pretty well planted. I don't think we're going anywhere.
Yeah. So when you came back here, is that when you took the position at Wolfeboro Inn?
Yep. So I came back here. I took on the bar manager position at the Wolfeboro Inn. So kind of continued in both those roles of bartending and managing. I did that for a couple years, and then I took over the entirety of the food and beverage department for a few years before COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, that's when things kind of transpired, and the hotel had closed, and the previous location at Marker had closed, and
And that was, you think, because of COVID?
I think COVID was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in that one. I think at a certain point, COVID kind of changed the industry in a lot of ways for a lot of people. And I think people who had been doing it for a while, because the restaurant industry is tough, it's hard, it's late nights, it's long hours, and I think if you've been doing that for 20 years and maybe you're kind of at the end of your road, I think COVID kind of forced a lot of people's hands in that aspect. And I think at that point in time, the previous establishment had been doing it for so long, and I don't know if they had the fight left in them and that's just my speculation. That's so it did it. It made it. It created a lot of challenges for everybody in a lot of industries, and the restaurant industry specifically. So it created challenges, but it also created opportunities.
Yes, it did. Didn't it?
So
Yeah.
we saw that moment as an opportunity.
Right.
Kind of getting back to one of the questions earlier, is like we've always kind of looked at that location as one that would do really well. Managed right, ran right, with a solid concept. So that's always, that specifically location has always kind of been in the back of my mind. And I kind of always, said to myself, if the opportunity ever came up, that I would, I'd do what I could to try and set myself up to be in position to take over and run.
Even before it closed.
Even before it closed.
You had your eyes on that.
I had approached the previous owner before COVID hit.
Okay.
All right. Just to test the waters and see, hey, where are you at with this operation? Do you have any interest in potentially, changing your situation at any point? My initial contact didn't really, nothing came to fruition from that. But it at least planted a seed. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he closes, or the business closes,
Yep.
and you say, this is our chance, which an entrepreneur sees things not as problems, but as opportunities.
100%. 100%. Yep.
If you see something as an opportunity, you might be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. You have to look at everything as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you said, all right, this is it. This is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So there had always been kind of an idea on, in the back of our minds, but there were some hoops to jump through, and there was some finagling, and there were some negotiations, and lots of things were transpiring with that location at that time, so it was kind of touch and go for a little while, just in terms of how it all unfolded. But yeah, we saw an opportunity, and we put together a plan, and we.
This is you and your partner?
My partner and I, and obviously my wife was a huge help in that. We kind of had a collective vision for what we wanted to do with the space.
So did you create a business plan?
We absolutely did create a business plan.
Could you have been successful without a business plan?
I love that you ask this, because this very experience for us, I think that we wouldn't have had this opportunity had we not created a business plan. Had we not done the legwork, had we not put it on paper, had we not had it all laid out in front of us, there was other interest in the space, meaning we weren't the only ones who saw the opportunity there.
Right.
So
it is a gorgeous space.
The people who were making that decision had other entities that were also interested in that space. So, they met with multiple groups of people to determine, who was eventually going to wind up in that location. We don't own the building, we do own the business. So, we do have landlords, and, those landlords, they have a vision for who they want to go in there, and they want to make sure it's the right people with the right plan and the right business. And so we sat down with them, and we presented, I think we had a 10-page business plan. It had what we had thought our name was going to be with the logo and our concept, and it had our core values. We had some projections on there, we had some expenses on there. We had our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, our SWOT page. It had our competition. It had our strengths. It had what we felt like on paper, what our vision for the place was going to look like. And it's funny, we actually pulled this out with our management team about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you did?
And from where we started to where we are today, it's pretty crazy to look back and see what we wanted to accomplish and where we are, and it's pretty close. Where we are now is pretty spot on to where we were when we started and what we wanted to do.
Well, you're a man after my own heart, because that business plan is not supposed to sit on a shelf.
No, not at all.
It is a guiding, living, breathing document.
Yep.
That
100%.
You can amend it.
Yep.
Down the road.
Yep.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's to be looked at least once a year.
Yeah.
And to include the staff in looking at it is even better.
We're at the point we showed, we sat with our management team and we went over the business plan and where we are now, and we're currently redefining our core values and where we want to go in the next 3 years.
That's
So
awesome.
we're using this as like our guiding principles as to like who we are as an organization, but we're taking our newly acquired management team and we're saying this is us, and this is how we're going to get everybody paddling in the same direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 100% believe, and even they said it themselves. They said, we've met with other people. Nobody's presented a plan like this before.
No kidding.
Nobody's sat down with projections. Nobody's given us their vision. There's just a bunch of people who want to go into the space, but they haven't presented us with this. So I think the fact that we had a plan on paper and we had a very clear vision of what we wanted to do was what set us apart. It's crazy.
You all heard that,
right?
right?
It's crazy, but it is. I think that is the one piece that I think helped propel us into that space.
That is amazing. Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't want you to go into detail, but you had to find some financing to make this happen, correct? You weren't sitting on a pile of cash that could make it happen, or had you been saving?
We had made some investments previously up to this that we were able to capitalize on. So we kind of knew at some point, one way or the other, that we wanted to go down this road, and we would have to figure out how to finance that.
Yeah.
So, and knowing, it's one of those things where it's like, you know where you want to be, but there's things that you have to do to get there, and you're going to have to set yourself up to get there. And, those things can vary from person to person. for me, I knew at a certain point I wanted to be ready for an opportunity. So, we invested in a little real estate, and, we were able to kind of get a return on that. But it was a stepping stone to like a bigger picture.
Right.
So we self-funded this project.
You did.
We did. So there's, so it's like there's different ways to go about it. Would I recommend that 100% of the time? Probably not, because, you're putting a lot of your own personal capital at jeopardy. It's a big investment. It's a big risk. So you're really gambling on yourself when you do something like this.
No, but the fact that you weren't going to own the real estate, that creates issues in finding financing as well.
Yes. Yep.
Right? Because you're missing that collateral piece.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And that does create challenges
Yep.
in finding outside financing. But congratulations to you. I imagine the lion's share of the money up front was to outfit the space.
Yes.
Right? I
Yes,
mean, that's
it
where
was-
most of them...
Yep.
Because you're going to have your monthly lease,
Yep.
but you needed to... It's
Oh,
beautiful inside.
Yeah.
That costs
we,
money, right?
We put a brand new kitchen in, so we put a new hood system in, new refrigeration, new kitchen equipment. We rebuilt the line, we rebuilt the bar. We put the facelift on it. So yeah, I mean it was an expensive output up front.
And what year was this that you purchased it?
We took over at the end of 2020, so right at the end of, right in the middle of COVID.
2020.
And, we spent about a year renovating, and then reopened.
Was it so it was not open for a year?
Yeah, we spent a year renovating, and then reopened in February of 2022. So
that really was the initial opening.
Oh yeah.
How difficult was it to build a team? Because that you weren't paying a team while you were renovating, so you
Nope.
basically were starting from scratch.
We started from scratch. Fortunately, we've got a big network in the community, and I think we were able to pull from that. People we'd worked with, honestly, a lot of the people that we opened the doors with were people that I had worked with in some capacity before. So that was a big help, or friends of friends, or people in the community who worked at different establishments who were just looking for a different opportunity. So I mean, it was tough. It was hard as in the middle of COVID. It wasn't the easiest thing to do. The first summer was really tough. But we've been able. A lot of our staff now have been with us since we've opened.
Is that right?
Yep, and we're starting to promote. We're starting to put people in positions in different roles and different different management capacities. And these are all people who've been with us since we opened, so they all know the operation. But yeah, staffing was tough out the gate. But we've been fortunate, and I'd say that's probably our strong suit right now, is that we've created a culture, and we have a great work atmosphere, and we have we treat everybody with respect, and we all take our job seriously, but at the end of the day, we're just serving food, and it's not the end of the world if something messes up. It's, I think one of our core values is just humble leadership, and it's showing up for our team, and being there for them. So I'd say that one of the things that we've been able to do is build just a really good internal culture, and I think nowadays that's what people are looking for.
How much value do you put on that?
I'd say that it's invaluable, because we have a big operation, and you can't do it without good people, and it's not, and I don't even want to say it's like you can't do it without people. It's not that. It's, you can't do it without good people. It's like the people we have, they operate with integrity. They're passionate. They genuinely care. It's not just, we're just putting a bunch of, there's a theory about you need the right people in the right seats. It's like, that's what we have. We have the right people in the right places, and that's what I'll hang my hat on. We have great people who take care of each other and treat each other with respect. They communicate respectfully and professionally, and it's all of those things go towards building a good work atmosphere, which you don't get in the restaurant industry everywhere. You know, it's like you don't get that in every restaurant you walk into. Everybody knows, everybody knows how you walk into a kitchen and you've got a chef throwing pots and pans and cursing at everybody, and it's like that's been a stigma of the industry for a long time, and I think we've done a really good job of breaking that.
Yeah.
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 So I put a lot of value on that in creating the culture.
Well, and so, I mean, it's one thing to say that, but you were telling me before we went on air, your first year, you guys were wiped at the end of the summer.
100%.
And you just said, look, guys, we're all going to take a week.
Mm-hmm.
Right after Labor Day. There's still good business after Labor Day.
Oh, yeah.
But you said, no, we're going to close the restaurant down. Let's all take a break.
Yep.
So that's sort of walking the walk when you say that you value people and you value what they take from the business and what they give to the business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Yep.
Quite a bit of competition for basically a pretty small market.
It's a very small market. It's crazy. The wintertime shows you how small the market really is.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a few night sweats that happen in November when you say, "Oh my God, May is so far away."
Yep, that time.
And yes, some places may close for the winter, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
So you still almost have the same amount of restaurants, the same amount of kitchens that are open,
Yep.
and not the same amount of mouths to feed.
Yep.
What do you do to keep Market 21 front of mind for people? When they say, "Hey, we're gonna go out. Let's go out tonight, honey."
It's funny. I think we're actually in the process of trying to figure that out right now as well. Just because you run this area in particular, you almost run two businesses. You've got the summer business, which is hang on and go, and then you've got the winter business, which is all right. What do we do now? For me personally, I believe in what we do, just in terms of like how we create our product. Our chef and our team are great people. Again, they work with integrity. Everything that we try to do as fresh as we can. We try to make the best product that we can. It's not just, we're not just popping open a bunch of frozen stuff, dumping them in the fryer and calling it a day. It's like we really try to put some thought into the product that we put on the plate. So for me, it's
like the ramen noodle bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's a commitment to just making sure that not only do your people have integrity, but the dishes that you put out have integrity too. It's like, we're not trying to be anything super fancy, we're not trying to be anything super high end. We just want to be a good spot that does things really well, So it's for me, it's you can come up with a bunch of different programs. You can come up with a happy hour. You can come up with specials and things like that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just maintaining a commitment to putting together a product that has integrity and that we stand behind. So that's part of it. And then the other part of it is, for me, it's the people aspect. It's maintaining an atmosphere for your staff that it's productive, and it's one that people want to work in, because that also feeds the guest experience. It's like if you come into an establishment and you can tell that the people there enjoy being there and they really want to be there and they're really focused and they're really a part of the team, that's infectious, and that goes a long way towards the guest experience, and people see that and they feel it and they understand it. So it's like those two things for me are where I'd really, again, you can come up with different ideas, this and that. We can do another special. We can do different features. You can do all of these things, but for me, it's standing behind the product and really putting together a solid product, and standing behind our team and putting together our team, because those two things come down to like your core and who you really are. And if you can execute on that level, then I think you're going to stand out. And I think it's not just the day-to-day, and it's not just the bottom line. It's the people, and it's the product, and it's the everythingness of it, as opposed to just, hey, we're going to do happy hour today and we're going to discount everything. And, because you can do that too, but I think bigger picture, I'd rather focus on our team and our product.
That's a great take. Thank you for sharing that. And our time is just about up.
It's quick.
Yeah, I don't.
All
Where did you come up with marker 21 for a name?
So all right. So this one we have to give credit where credit's due. So I believe this goes back to Goodhue and Hawkins.
Yeah.
As part of their speech to people renting boats and things like that out there, they would include the navigational marker 21 out in the mouth of Wolfeboro Bay, and that was kind of always included. They would say that it's marker, you're looking for marker 21, you can remember it's always the age that you always wanted to be. One of a mutual friend of mine, her daughter used to work at Goodhue, and she's also in the industry, and her daughter kind of brought up to her that, hey, if you ever open a restaurant, you should call it marker 21.
Cool.
So it's kind of, it's a communal thing there, so we can't take credit for that. We got that from somebody else, but it kind of, wound up in front of us, and, they we were like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, would you be okay if we use that? We didn't want to take it without, at least kind of following up with everybody to make sure it's okay. But yeah, so that it kind of, came from that avenue.
Nice.
And we had gone back and forth for a while, and we kind of landed back on that. We're like, this is great. It ties to the location.
Sure.
So there's a navigational marker out at the mouth of Wolfeboro Bay.
There
that
you go.
is marker 21.
Now we know.
That's how they all tie together.
We got to go, Josh. Thanks for
Jack,
coming on. That
thank
was
you for
great.
having me.
Josh is joining the board at WEDCO. We're going to have a good time for the next few years.
Absolutely, very excited.
Helping to navigate us through changing environments and making sure that WEDCO, Wentworth Economic Development Corporation, is having the greatest impact it can on our small business economy here in the Eastern Lakes region. Stop by Market 21, check out, see if Josh is walking the walk. I believe he is.
You'll see me. Oh, I'm there.
Yeah, he's there.
I'm there.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time, folks. Bye.